I met Mr. Heins when I was about 14 years old at the Paramount. I introduced myself, and he was always there when the show was about to begin. As people were coming in, he was always there to greet you. And we started talking, and finally when I become 16, I said, I need a job part-time here. He said, okay. He said, you can usher. Theater, when you first come in, it was square with the candy thing against the wall and the side doors, and the carpet was, I think, red at that time. Beautiful. So you always had to keep it swept. And just, the doors were always kept shut, no matter what. That was one of Mr. Heinz's thing. Well, at Ushers, you would sit the people down after the movie started with the flashlight. You would keep, if possible, you keep the kids quiet. But luckily, we didn't have that much trouble. There's always a kids' movie on the weekend. From it used to be at 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 4 o'clock. Then at night, you went to the adult movie. So the kids had their own, like Lou Abbott Costello with Frankenstein and the Bowery Boys, Satchel and all. You would just sit there and laugh with them because they just made you laugh. I mean, Larry, Curly, and Moe, those were the good old days. Youngstown was busy. It was booming downtown. You had McKelvey's, you had Strauss's, and the malt shop. Because the kids used to bring their malts to the theater. They would run down there and get their malts. You had, of course, 5 theaters downtown. You had the Paramount and the State across from each other, the Warner Brothers, Warner Theater. Then you had the Palace Theater, and then you had the Strand Theater. It would be nice to get a theater back downtown in Youngstown. I think we need it. I think more people would go to the show downtown than they do to the cinemas. And above all, we need more, even one big theater, if they could ever redo the Paramount, that would be a great place to start. And in closing, I want to thank everybody for their help on this, and I hope this project does bring the people back together and get the things going again.
My name's Chris Yambar. I was born and raised in Youngstown, Ohio. When I was growing up, we grew up on a little pony farm, the Yambar Pony Farm out on Vestal Road and Meridian Road, right on the corner there. That was our whole world. So when we would load up into the car, into the truck to go downtown, we were like going to New York City. We used to go past the Paramount, and they used to have the big candy store. Well, for a while there, after that period in time, things shut down. There was like a real bleak, probably 20-year zone there. But I heard through the grapevine that some guy had opened up that candy shop again in that space and was making sandwiches. So I went down there on my lunch, and this guy was there, and he had a crop of real heavy red hair. I went there a couple times. I noticed there was this little room to the side. Well, I went down there, I peeked around the corner, and there were stairs going down. So I went down there, and I opened up the door. There's a huge speakeasy underneath the Paramount. Okay, now this is stuff they don't tell you, but it's down there. I came upstairs and I asked the guy, you realize you have a speakeasy down here? He said, shh. He says, it's just storage now. I says, okay. I'm in Chicago. Guy says, Youngstown, little Chicago, we love it. And I said, tell me what you know. And he said, he's telling me all these different things about playing the bug and doing the number and all the, all the family insider stuff. Then he says, have you been to the speakeasy? And I said, underneath the Paramount. And he goes, you have? And I said, yeah. This guy tells me about how Chicago business, you think it was all done in Chicago. He said, Chicago, a lot of Chicago business was done in Youngstown in a speakeasy under the street. The family members would come there and they would talk. And I'm certain they would also entertain members of the police force and politicians and stuff. But this was a place outside of the public eye. But that's how it was, and that's what we grew up in. Okay, but it was awesome to. You talk to Youngstowners, they don't know anything about this, but it's still there. I hope when they keep the facade and the front like 20 feet or whatever they're going to do with that, I hope that what they do is they find a way to renovate and put money into that, because I think that's a crucial point in history.
My name is Donna Leskovec, and I'm a niece to Phyllis Alexander Borchers, and she is a lovely, lovely person. She is 88 years old and is full of life. Phyllis couldn't be here today to talk with you, so I am going to tell you what she wrote in. She worked 8 months as a cashier in 1941, and she also said there was no popcorn or soda sold, only a candy counter. It was a lovely theater and well located across the street from the brass rail. When she worked there, I'm 12 years younger than her. So when we were old enough to ride the trolley bus, we would go downtown every Saturday, almost every Saturday, a friend of mine, and we would get dressed up and go downtown, do shopping in all the stores, then go to lunch and pick one of the many beautiful theaters in downtown to attend a movie. And then that would be our day. We liked the stage shows, and they were performed at the Palace Theater. So we would have to go down and view a movie first and then wait patiently for whoever was going to be on stage, and that was really worth every penny because we got to see so many movie stars live. Frank Sinatra and the whole, just beautiful, and a lot of good bands at the time, beautiful. Downtown was hustle and bustle. As I told her upstairs, it was shoulder to shoulder when you walked down Federal Street. Couldn't find a place to park if you were coming down. The police were blowing whistles and telling you to get out of the way, and you're in the way, and in order to get on the bus, we would have to go down East Federal Street, past the square, to get on the bus in order to get a seat, because if you were in front of Strauss's, you would never get on a seat to get on the bus to get home because it would be that crowded. The steel mills were booming at the time, and anybody getting a job there were so lucky because it was a forever job, we thought. Things have changed dramatically from when we were growing up and what it is today. When we came downtown, it was so safe. You had no worries. You could do and go anywhere and never felt fear of anything, and a lot of fun. And we also talked about Adore Park, which was our playground. We had a lot of ethnic people that lived here, and that really kept the whole city together because they all worked in the steel mills. They all stayed together and helped each other, and it was really a wonderful place to live. Her name is Phyllis Alexander Borchers. She was born and raised here in Youngstown, and as a young girl, around 17 or 18, she worked at the Paramount Theatre for about 8 months. And what she tells me was that, did I remember going there? And I said, yes, but that was a long time after. She says, well, when she worked there, all they had was a candy counter. They did not have popcorn. They did not have soda. Well, I didn't realize that, but I think by the time I got there, they probably installed that. At the time when she worked there, it was streetcars. Well, see, being 12 years younger, I would have been too young to ride the streetcar alone. And then when we were allowed to go downtown on our own, which at that time you could go down 10, 11 years old, it was safe. By that time we had the trolley buses. The trolley would come off the line, then the bus driver had to get out, then he had to put it back, and it would be sometimes forever and a day till you either got down or got home. And my mother would say, where were you all this time? Well, you had to say the trolley bus broke down and go through all this. Especially when they had to make a sharp turn, that would constantly come off.
What's your secret for being married so long?
Well, I'll tell you, I have a husband that is so easy to get along with. And I'm the one that would get nervous or always worried, but he is so patient. Even my kids say, I don't know where he gets this patience.
My name is Dr. Joanne K. Scarvell. I am a longtime teacher. I am currently teaching at Butler Community College as an adjunct, and I am teaching at Youngstown University and have been teaching there for about 15 years as an adjunct in the communications department. Well, I was attending Ursuline High School, and in my junior and senior year, I was selling candy at the Paramount Theatre. I was the candy girl. I do remember specifically, while the filming and the movies were going on, and there were no candy patrons, I would stand right outside the door of the candy display, and I would watch the movies. I had a boyfriend of 3 years, my sophomore, junior, and senior year, and in my senior year, he went to the seminary. The film that I was watching at the time he left was Love is a Many-Splendored Thing. And of course, it was Jennifer Jones and, oh my God, William Holden. And they have a love affair, and he leaves to go, he's a correspondent, and he leaves to go off to war, and he gets killed. And she's on the mountaintop, and she's crying and remembering their their moments on the mountaintop together. And I would sob and sob and sob. Now, I worked every Saturday night from 6 o'clock until 10 o'clock. Most nights from 6 o'clock till 10 o'clock, I was working my way through Ursuline and then through Youngstown University, because Ursuline you paid tuition. This is very ironic and prophetic because one Saturday night, I was selling candy during Love is a Many-Splendored Thing, and walking into the theater on a double date was the man I'm now married to. Now, I had no notion that he was going to be the man I would marry, but I sold him candy. And in 1961, and of course that was around 1953 or 54, and in 1961 we were married. The Paramount Theatre, I loved it there. And I love the access to the movies. I love the facade. I loved everything about it. I never got to the control room where they showed the movies, but I knew where it was. And Mr. Heins was a wonderful man to work for. And it was at a time when Youngstown was booming. I mean, oh my God. I mean, you know, it was so exciting to be downtown Youngstown. What a wonderful time in my life. Absolutely joyous. There were people everywhere. Christmas was so exciting. Music in the city. I remember McKelvey's. I bought furniture there. And I worked for Santa Claus in Strauss Hirschberg's when I was pregnant with my second child. I sold photographs to people that sat on his knee in the mezzanine, and I listened to glorious music. All of that experience is a very important part of my journey, because in college I got interested in theater. And the second year in college, I went to the Youngstown Playhouse on a lark. I was trying out for a musical, and the director was James Cameron. And he said, "You can't sing at all, but your voice is awful. But I'd like you to audition for a play." So I did, and it was Inherit the Wind. And I got the part of the young lady married to the dissenter. And as things would have it, I got other parts, and I met my husband. My husband and I both did summer stock theater in Peterborough, New Hampshire. I was offered a scholarship to study in New York, but somehow had the maturity to say, I don't think so. This is a tough life, and I'm just going to go back to Youngstown and teach at Cardinal Mooney. And I taught there for 2 years. I do believe all of the experiences that I have had with theater came from my involvement with Paramount Theater. Actually, it was paramount to my life because it gave me my husband and my grandchildren. This is a little side note that's very sad. And I don't know if there's a real relationship, but somehow metaphysically I think there is. My 14-year-old granddaughter was killed by a drunk driver 9 years ago in Hubbard, Ohio. And killed by the drunk driver, and all of the drama in my life has helped me be who I am. And so even living through that was oftentimes related to the literature and the stories. I was an English major and a Latin minor, and the mythology, and all of the things that have happened to me, the hero's journey that I witnessed in all those films but didn't know I was witnessing, that I know now, have made me who I am. So I've been with my man for 52 years.
I lived in Farrell, Pennsylvania, and we, from Farrell or the Shenango Valley, we would frequently go to the movies in Youngstown. And Youngstown was a big city, these tall buildings, okay? After we were married, we were talking about what she did in college and so forth, and she mentioned that she used to work at Paramount Theater. I said, oh, okay, that's cool. I used to go there once in a while. And I said, hey, what years did you work there? She told me. And I said, that's fun. I went there probably